Get transferred from Domino's.
Get transferred from Domino's.
Domino's up there.
All right. So we said that an arithmetic sequence, when I'm adding or subtracting the same number over and over again, that was linear growth, and it created a line. Geometric sequence, when I'm multiplying by something over and over again, is what we call exponential growth. These are the graphs that you look at, and they look like this. Okay, so it starts off really small, and then all of a sudden it shoots up in the air. Okay, it's called exponential growth. It's based on the idea of a constant growth rate. You should have done this in math school.
I remember barely anything from it.
But look at my I don't know.
I had Mr.
I had
Estrada.
5
We would have to have a teacher for that.
I had Estrada.
Yeah, some of you did not.
Oh, Estrada, and he was gone for like what? Oh,
He
wow.
was not gone that long. I was out for an entire maternity leave. He was only gone for like a week.
Because his wife had a baby?
Yes.
Yeah.
She had her baby like 2 weeks after I did. We got pregnant almost the same time. We came back from
That's
Christmas,
weird.
and I had to explain to the teachers up
That's
here
weird.
that if you see me run to the bathroom, it's because I have morning sickness because I'm pregnant. And when I made that announcement, he looked at me and goes,
That'd be weird.
It was
man,
awesome.
You know?
it was awesome.
We'll have counters.
All right, so in order to calculate anything using exponential growth, we first have to come up with what our R is. R represents your common ratio, or in other words, it's the number that you're multiplying by every time. Okay, so again, the easiest way to find this, pick any number you want, except the first one. So 192 divided by whatever comes right before it, which is why you cannot use 12 to begin with, because there is no number in front of it. Okay, so what's 192 divided by 48?
Let me guess. 24?
4.
I was adding. I mean, not adding. I
Right?
don't know what I was doing.
So your R value here is 4. We're multiplying by 4 each time.
I had 4.
Okay? So what fraction do you want to use in B? What divided by what?
6 divided by 4.
6 divided by 4. I usually always choose the first two. It just makes my life easier.
Your life is easy now.
Not always. 1.5. Okay. When you get to something like C or F or E, where your sequence is in fractions, my suggestion to you is make your R into a fraction. So when you go to divide this, 2 divided by 6, it's going to give you a decimal. Then you want to hit math and choice number 1, and it will change that decimal into a fraction for you. So if it starts as a fraction, I would leave it as a fraction. You said 1/3? Okay. So 1/3 is what we multiply by each time. So take a minute or two and find the R values of the next 6, and then we will go over them.
You know what sucks? with it?
What's that?
So halfway through function, we're supposed to have a knee break. The budget.
Right, to get your new knee brace. It's
Yeah.
actually, yes.
But it got canceled because they said that I needed to have some paper signed by my parents, put them off. But they didn't tell me that until we got there.
But
So they said, oh, we're gonna have to cancel it and move it. So it got moved to Friday.
this Friday morning,
Yeah. but I'm not gonna-
after something.
Yeah. But the great thing is, I'm not even gonna get my knee brace. They're just gonna check me out to see what type I'm gonna get from there.
Oh, God.
So yeah.
What would you get for
You said to.
11 seconds.
And then you go to math, 1 fraction. Or to math.
And then you're just doing 1.5%.
Yeah, something like that.
There you go. I taught you something new today.
Thank you. You learned something every day.
Hey, listen, if you don't learn something new every day, you're doing the day wrong.
Exactly. Samaria. You look, first of all, biatch. Don't.
Whoa!
Sorry.
She didn't actually say that.
I-
Right, I didn't
I
actually.
know, but she getting angry back there.
Yeah, Samari, you trying. You really be trying. Don't call me sis.
Ew.
I'm not your sis.
Stop talking to me.
Stop talking to me. God, you make me sick.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be
You
friends?
get 29 for the. I bet you people on YouTube.
29 over 48 for which one?
Okay, tell me
No.
the answers for
I
all
got
of them
3
and I'll let
fifths.
them know.
3 fifths.
How'd you get 3
For what?
Because I did 2
Which
over
one?
7 divided by 10 over 21, and then I put math. fraction.
I can't see because I'm blind.
Yeah, it's too dark in here for me.
That's what I'm saying.
No, this is perfect.
Somebody turn on light.
No.
So listen, I'm about to turn a flashlight on.
I can barely see this.
Oh my gosh.
These guys did not help. Do they
Oh,
have
yeah,
lights
right.
in them?
Wait,
No,
you missed no way.
Well,
Come on.
we can see
Look
far.
at me.
I
Look at
can't.
me.
I can't.
I can't.
I can, therefore.
I want you. I want you.
Somebody turn on the light.
So-
I want you. You know, we already know it's gonna be in.
Do we really know?
Your problem is you change them to decimals first before you divide it. Literally just do
Oh, okay, my bad.
10
Let me hit him
whoops.
up then. Let him know now.
2/7 divided by 10/21.
You want a poster?
For what?
Tomorrow.
For what? Oh, that's true. I was just like, poster. I was like, what kind of cheeky? Oh, yes, I will.
All right.
No, definitely.
2.3 11/7 3/5
No way.
0.29.
What if I turn it into a fraction?
What if I left it at a decimal?
13.7.
So you have to turn them in for the fraction things.
I would leave it as a fraction.
What about G, G and H, I made them into a fraction.
I mean, there's nothing against it, but normally if they give you the sequence in decimals, your answer choices are going to be in decimals.
So just do it as decimals, but when
But if it's in fractions like E and F are, leave it as a fraction.
How do you turn
which way is
in the calculator if you have a decimal? How do you turn it to a fraction?
Math. Choice number 1.
Math. Choice number 1. And then I just put
No, you would have to have the decimal already.
Okay?
Oh, good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
says 157 over 100.
I'm good now. Sorry, they go.
For this one, I put in 1.57.
Do this, get the answer, and then just change it to a fraction. Because you cut it off and you didn't let it continue on. Okay. Do you need me to go over any of these?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
no.
fraction.
The
No, I take
fractions.
it back. I got it.
No, the fractions.
Okay. So,
The 3/5 in decimal form.
so E, you would have taken 22 21st and divided that by 2/3. That gives you this big long decimal.
you cannot cut this off before you change it to a fraction. So once you get this answer, you literally just want to hit math, choice number 1, change it to a fraction.
Oh.
Did you cut it off and do 1.57 and try to change that to a fraction?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to keep it, because this keeps it as accurate as you can. If you cut it off to 1.57, it's no longer fully accurate. Okay. So the same thing with F. 2/7 divided by 10/21. You get 0.6. Change that to a fraction. 3/5. Okay. Any other questions on those that I can go over for you? It's very important that you can find your R value. Okay. While these formulas are easier than arithmetic, you still need certain values, and R is one of them. Okay. All right. So we should be able to answer word problems like these.
No, we should not.
Oh, yes, we should.
I really hate-
Okay. So our R value should never, ever, ever be negative. Okay. Your R value will always be greater than 0. If we're showing growth, your R value is actually going to be greater than 1. Okay, so it's going to be like 1.5, 2.7, 3/2. Okay, it's going to be a bigger number than 1. To show decay, I need some kind of a fraction that's less than 1. So it's not going to be negative. It'll be greater than 0, but it will also be less than 1. So something like 1/3, 1/2, 0.25, 0.1. Okay, that shows decay. Okay, so problem number 1 says, a mom offers to double her daughter's allowance every month for the rest of the year. The daughter currently only has a $5 monthly allowance.
The fuck?
Phew, trust me.
$5.
Kind of people things are-
Oh, dude, no.
Oh, you just wait.
But it's doubling.
It's doubling every month. So in January, you get $5. In February, we get 10. In March, we get 40, 80, 160.
And when are they gonna put it?
Okay. They're going to do this for an entire year. So it's going to jump really fast.
Damn, she's not- Right.
What's my transition? What's happening?
Every month. Oh.
That's your trend
It's
Yeah,
going on.
every month.
It's
It doubles.
It doubles. So your transition rule is times 2. Okay. It's being multiplied by 2 every time. How much money will the daughter in the last month of the year receive for her allowance? So we're January, February, March, April, May, June. We've got to go 6 more times. So what comes after 160? 320. I'm sorry, we got to go 7 more times because that's your starter. So that's technically January, February. So 320, 640,
1280,
1280,
2560,
2560,
We must have a good job.
5120,
5120,
10,240,
10,240,
20,480.
$20,480 you're going to get in the last month of the year.
Well, damn, I couldn't help here.
What's
The
Just think about it though. That's what you're getting each month. Think about how much you actually got all year long. You'd have to add all those up to see what your grand total is. I want to be that kid.
Ain't no adding it up.
Clearly,
So
the
like
mother
divide it by-
Listen, if my parents looked at me one day and said, here's $20,000 for your monthly allowance, I'd be like,
I might ask questions. I'm like, "Dad, you mean the $20,000?" So what you looking
Who needs college? Who needs a job? I'm gonna live with you for the rest of my life. You're just gonna keep doubling that?
What if he's, what if,
$20,000 is more than most of you make in a year
what if
right
they
now.
say that you have to be a doctor? They'll triple it every year.
Wait.
But you have to
Then
go,
I
you
guess
have
I'm
to be a
becoming a fucking
doctor.
doctor then.
But let's just say that you gave up in high school and you have to be a doctor, and they say they'll triple it. Like, being a doctor takes.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
a lot.
Yes.
Hey, I was gonna be a doctor.
And I'm sorry, but people's lives are in my hand at that point. No, I'm good on that.
Well, I don't care. Well, look at my degree and I'm making my money.
All right, let's talk money. We're putting $1,000 into a retirement account, and it's gonna pay 10% annual interest. Okay? What's my transition? Every year. What tells you that? Annual. Every year. Okay. You're getting 10% annual interest. So does that mean I'm going up or going down? Up. So don't forget what we've already learned. 110%. We're going above. So my number has to be over 100 written as a decimal. So technically we're multiplying by 1.1, which is 110% as a decimal. Okay. So what I taught you yesterday does not go away. If it's decaying or decreasing, we have to subtract from 100, then change it to a decimal. If it's increasing, we have to add it to 100 and then change it to a decimal. So if I start with $1,000, in the next year, how much money will I have in my account? 1,100. The following year, we will have 1,210. And then 1,331. Okay? They want to know how much money is there in the account after 25 years. Huh? Who doing this 25 times?
Plug it into that.
There is a formula for this. Okay. To find any number in a sequence, your formula is P sub n equals P sub 0 times R raised to the n. Okay, what does P sub 0 represent?
100,000.
1,000. This is your initial. Whoops, not initially, just initial. Okay, so
1,000.
it starts with 1,000.
1.1.
My R value is what I'm multiplying by each time. Well, we just found out that's 1.1
To the 25th. I mean, to the 25th.
times 1.1. My N. How long do I want this to go on for? Well, I want it to go on for 25 years.
Equals your mom.
Equals my mama.
10,834.82.
Ashley said $10,834.71. If you really think about it though, is that enough money to retire on?
No.
Did you gain a lot of money in 25 years?
The kid gave more in a year.
Right. The kid gained more in a stinking month. Okay. This is why they push and tell you to invest early. If you get a lump sum of money, invest it. Invest it in something safe. I'm not saying go to the stock market because, dear God, that thing goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay? Find something that's going to accrue like this.
That's why.
And then when you go to retire, you yank that in. I mean,
That's why you have the stock app on your phone.
yeah, but stocks are just, they're too iffy for me. I can't. They scare me too much.
Can have another Great Depression.
Right. And at the rate this country's going, the Great Depression is coming all over again.
Oh,
We're already
no.
in it.
No, it is a scary fear though, like they did say and report it can happen any moment.
It's a very scary
Like
situation
in
right now.
2007, the recession that happened.
It's bad. The economy is bad.
I'm gonna be mad as hell. The Great Depression told me in a couple years. I gotta work on the damn time to go back broke.
Right. Okay.
So
I had to say this, but I hate to answer that.
You're good.
You've been at Z's. I've really been
Sorry,
at
I've
Z's
been
the bathroom.
but you're
Okay. So let's talk the difference between a constant growth rate and a constant factor. Okay, so a constant growth rate will tell you what's happening. It's a description of what's happening. So you'll see something like 100% larger than last year. Okay, so you'll see something like 100% larger than last year. Or you might see something like 10% less than last year. Okay, these are not the numbers that you multiply by. This is what we learned yesterday. Okay, these are not the numbers you multiply by. You have to figure out what you're going to multiply by the description they give you. So, example 1, if it says 100% larger than last year, remember, you always start at 100. And if we're 100% more than that, we add it. So, we're technically at 200%. Written as a decimal is 2. So you're actually multiplying by 2. 100% larger than last year means that it's doubling. It's 100% over what you already have. So it's twice what you have. Okay. Example 2. If I'm 10% less than last year, we're subtracting. So if I'm 10% less, I'm only at 90%, which means I would multiply by 0.9. Okay. It is very critical that you pay attention to that, because if you plug in 0.1, your entire answer is wrong. Okay. You've got to understand the difference between a growth rate and the constant factor. Okay. And then here's your formulas again that I gave you on the front side. I'll give you both of them. You're only going to use the first one, but I'll give you both of them anyway. So P sub n equals my initial amount, which is P sub 0, times r raised to the n. If they don't give you the initial amount and they give you the next one in line, you can also use this formula. A sub 1 times r raised to the n minus 1.
Is that A1?
Yes. I have never used that second formula in my life. So we can do everything from that first formula. That one's pretty easy to memorize. This formula is also given to you on a formula sheet for your final exam. Okay, so this will be available to you. Okay, so with this information, we should be able to do problems like this. Okay, so my formula says P sub n equals. The first thing I needed to fill in my formula was what?
P sub 0.
P sub 0, which is what? 3. Where does my sequence start? Well, it starts at 3. I then need to multiply that by r. 2. It's going up by 2 each time. Raised to the n. All I want you to do is come up with the formula for these ones. Okay. Get used to plugging it in. So B then would start at 20. This time you're actually going to have to solve for your R. It's not easy to deduce. One 1.2. Okay. Again, you can get that by picking 24 and dividing by 20. That gives you your R value. Raise to the end.
There was someone in there, so I couldn't let it
I'm sorry. C then, P sub n. This sequence starts at 400, and what's my R? 0.75. Again, whoops. 300 divided by 400. Raise to the end. Okay.
Can we see this one?
Which is P sub n. It's that P sub 0 times R raised to the n that I had already given you. All right, so let's see what we can do with this one. The number of reported cases of a gamma virus has been dropping by 70% a year since 2004, when there were 1 million reported cases of the virus. Okay, what's my transition?
Dropping by 70%.
Every year.
Oh, my bad.
Remember, your transition is how often. So that's every year. I was trying to put that up top. There we go. Every year. Okay. Your transition rule. Every year we're multiplying by what?
0.7. No.
No.
100 minus
0.30.
70.
100 minus 70. It says we're dropping, which means I'm decreasing, which means I'm 70 less than 100. So 30%. So my transition rule is 0.3. You can leave the 0 on. You can take the 0 off. It does not affect it.
Or it does.
It doesn't. After the decimal, any zeros to the right does not affect it as long as there's no numbers after it. Okay. What's my initial population?
I can't see.
Sorry.
No, wait, a million.
1 million. How many zeros is that?
4, 6, 5,
6,
4,
6.
2. No, wait, I got it. 4. She said she's gonna draw me.
Only really?
In a late. I believe she said help.
Okay. So what would my formula look like now that we broke it all down?
P sub n equals.
I'm going to put it down here because I don't really have it.
P sub
We don't have
n
it.
1 million, parentheses 0.3 of
There it is. 1 million. 0.3 raised to the n.
The N is 6
Okay. How do we get the n to be 6, Kimberly?
because it says what is the thingy for 2010
So why don't we plug in 10?
and it's 2004. So
Good. We started in 2004. It is now 2010.
6 years.
So that's 6 years in the future. So we plug in a 6 for n. So 1 million times 0.3 raised to the 6.
I told you it was 1 0.
729.
729. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Compared to 1 million, that's
Right. Compared to 1 million people that were sick with this virus 6 years ago, I'll take 729. Although I'd probably still be one of those like 729. That'd be my luck. Okay. So with exponential growth and decay, your population changes quickly. Okay. It changes quickly.
Right, are we done?
No, we're not done.
Like
Oh.
Ms. Smith said, we gotta, just.
Oh, we finishing this whole package?
No, we're gonna leave part 4 for tomorrow.
That's only one page. Oh.
Wham!
Oh my god, that's literally like the last page.
Wham!
She'll say, we have only one page left,
Right, and
guys."
it'd be a whole
No,
bunch.
it's one page, two-sided, a bunch of problems.
Wham!
And
Wham!
and
Wham!
do some
Wham!
problems on
Wham!
your
Wham!
own.
A, B, and C.
Oh, I can give you like 28 questions for
No,
homework.
you can't.
Okay, stop complaining. Okay, so they want us to come up with the equation and then find piece of whatever. So what does my equation look like for number 1?
Blank equals 8
times
times 1.7 to 16.
Bam. Listen, I'll even help you out. You plug that in, your answer comes out to be 38,928.9535.
Yes, sir. Would 1,000 be the initial?
Yes. So Kimberly says number 2. We start off with 1,000. This time they don't give us R. We need to find it.
0.9.
0.9.
You got it.
Remember, I can take any number I want and divide by the number that comes before it, and that gives me what goes there. So it's decreasing. So I'm less than 1. So I'm at 0.9. And your answer is 313.81. Okay. Number 3.
You gotta do 100 plus 20.
It's 20,000,
Okay.
parentheses, 1.2.
1.2.
to the side.
Good. It's a 20% increase. So that means I'm 20% above 100, which is 120%, which as a decimal is 1.2. Okay, these numbers are not poofing out of thin air. Your answer here is 49,766.4. And finally, number 4.
85,000 times 0.85 to the 7.
Times 0.85 to the 7th power. Again, we're decreasing. So that means I'm 15% less than 100, which means I'm only at 85%, which is 0.85.
Okay, Ashley, when I start my project next week, I'm gonna have to ask.
And I did not put an answer on here.
I'm gonna have to ask.
Start the project next week.
Yeah.
The project is due this week.
Friday.
No, not this one, not
Oh.
AP. Whenever I start on it, you're gonna have to like actually start answering my messages. Even if you stop leaving me on red, I would appreciate it.
No, that doesn't really work.
Well, it's gonna have to.
I don't really like answering.
Well, you're gonna have to. Right, you still
Actually, these are practice problems, so we can skip these.
Yay.
Yay! Okay. So, let's talk about the last set of problems that I need you to be aware of. Just like arithmetic, we had an equation to find the sum of all of the numbers listed. There is an equation to find the sum of all of these numbers listed.
Oh my god.
Slap her in the face, just once.
Seriously? When?
We barely came back from break.
Oh no.
Chill.
It's only Tuesday.
And you're off tomorrow, so
That's not enough.
Technically,
And then when we come back,
technically-
technically I'm not off because I gotta go to work.
Well, whose fault is that?
My manager.
oh, please understand. You know Chandler works at Lowe's Foods with my husband, right? I went, Chandler doesn't have school on Wednesday.
I'm gonna try to do one. Wow.
Chandler quit Food Line. He's working at Lowe's Foods. Because Scott offered him more money.
Wait, how old is he? 18?
How much he get paid?
He's not 18 yet.
How much he get paid?
Wait, he's not 18 yet?
He's not 18 and he works at Lowe's Food.
Right.
Yes. You can be a cashier.
Oh.
And,
How much he get paid?
and he's working Lowe's Foods to go on the weekend. Which means
I need to go up there.
How much is he
Scott
getting
need to
paid?
pass
I
me
don't
some money.
know.
He's your husband's business.
Okay.
Scott needs to pass me
So-
some money.
The best thing about this formula,
Is that it's different.
it's not. It looks difficult, but the things that you needed for the first formula is all you need for this formula. Okay, so your formula here, my A is your initial value,
My A.
okay? So I still need to know the initial value. I need to know what I start with. Okay? My R is still your common ratio. Notice it goes here and here. Ration. Oh, I need to go back to bed. And N is your transitions. So if this happened for 25 years or this happened for 10 years, what am I plugging in? How many terms do I have?
Still sounds good.
It's really not. And look, we have 7 problems and we're finished.
That's a whole page.
Oh, God. You just might die.
No.
Okay.
This is why we slack.
Man, skip the damn slide. Kimberly should be paying
No,
attention.
you can shut up and suck my toe.
You should be paying attention.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure your toes stink.
Suck my
Me too, I'm ready. So.
Right, Ashley, so
Well,
shut
don't you
up.
write it down when she was talking about it. Come on now. How long was we taking notes?
You gotta listen.
Listen, Ashley, I'm not trying to ask you to get off your high horse and suck my toe.
Suck her toe. Just suck her toe. It's fine.
Well,
All right.
you'll be getting pushed
So I need 3 pieces of information to do any of these problems. I need 3 pieces of information. I need to know what's my A value. What's my initial value?
Hey, the last
8.
number.
It's your first number. What is my R?
12 divided by 2. I mean, 12 divided by 2.
12 divided by 8, which is
1.5.
1.5. And what is my N?
8. I mean 1.5. I mean, what is that?
There isn't one.
You can count them.
6.
2, 4, 6.
6. There's 6 numbers there, so my N value is 6. So literally, we do 8 times 1.5 raised to the 6 minus 1 over 1.5 minus 1.
Whoa. I don't know.
That's because I just gave you the formula, Kimberly.
What did you just say?
Because I just gave you that formula.
When?
Oh my God. I lied now on. You are not going to be the reason I retire early. It's going to be Kimberly.
166.25.
166.25. If you added all those numbers together, you'd get 166.25. I would have for that one. I'm lazy like that. Okay, number 2. They want us to find the sum of the first 10 with the first term of 1 and a common ratio of 2. So what's my A value?
1.
What's my R?
2.
What's my N? Okay, so 1 times 2 to the 10th minus 1
2 to the 10. Oh, okay, never mind.
and 2 minus 1 in the bottom.
Shut up.
Get 'em.
So the only difference between what goes in parentheses on the top and what goes in parentheses in the bottom is the fact that you've got to raise that R to your N power in the top.
10:23.
Somebody sing a Beyonce song.
You still be on.
1,023. Okay. This next one gives you everything you need.
Pretty sure. Yes.
What's my initial value in this one? 4. What's my R?
0.3.
0.3. It's showing you what it multiplies each time in this sequence. Here's the trick though. What's N?
11.
Uh,
11 plus 2, 14. I mean,
12.
it is 12.
Damn, that was funny.
Okay, remember, it goes from P sub 0 to P sub 11.
So
1 to 11 is 11, and when you plug in that P sub 0, you actually have 12. So we've got 4 times 0.3 to the 12th minus 1 over 0.3 minus 1. 1.714?
Dang, can we put it in the calculator or something?
No.
Oh my God. So rude.
Rude.
5.7. How do you get 1.71?
guys, today's the day. I'm gonna get.
Did I do it wrong?
Yeah.
Is his answer key wrong?
I can
Yeah.
feel it.
Do you even have the money with you?
No.
Okay, then you gotta get it jacked.
I went to my service everyone money, so I can just give it a shot. So then, really, just give me cash.
5.714.
Yeah, you said.
I stand corrected.
Ha, you were
Dang,
wrong.
you're so what's
Beat it.
Listen.
Oh
Listen.
no, I wrote it in pen.
You might die.
Yeah, honestly, these stuff are mine.
Oh, gross. Okay. 4. What's my A?
5,
What's my R?
3,
And what's my N?
8. What?
Just ignore her. I do. 3 raised to the 8th minus 1. And 3 minus 1 in the bottom. Okay. So the hardest part's going to be, can you find your A value? Can you find your R value? Can you find your N value?
32804.5.
What?
You said 5 times 3 raised to the 8
Minus 1.
minus 1 divided by 3 minus 1. 32804.5.
Why are none of my answers on my answer key right?
You don't know what we're doing, obviously.
But he does.
I was kidding. I was kidding.
Oh, Kimberly's going to die.
Said no.
I mean, I might be wrong. YouTube has it, so
Did you say YouTube has it?
the events.
Wait, what'd you get?
I got 16,400.
That's what I got too.
Thank you.
How the hell?
Ashley, looks like your mom.
Did you calculate the last one right too?
You didn't put your minus 1 in parentheses.
Whatever.
Okay. You made me think I was going crazy. I mean, I am, but
You
I
should
mean,
check
you
the
was
last
going
one
crazy
also.
on. Oh, the last one, you're right. She even did it. Robot.
I looked at it on yours. Find your A, R, and N value for 5 and 6. While I double check all this and make sure I'm not actually crazy. Because there's a good chance that I am. I mean, we already know that I am. But that's besides the point. No, she was right on that one. 3 is right. Now I'm going to check all of these because I'm like,
Hey, Rhonda, how much are tickets for Thursday? Because I know I gotta spend like 23, probably like
okay, that one's good.
I literally know all the spoilers. I asked for them.
Okay, that one's right too.
I didn't find out any disclosures.
Oh, it was so great.
So we
I
got
was
10,
like, all the spoilers, but I didn't.
2.7.
Stop it.
Don't forget, with number 5, your n value should be a 9. That's the only ones you're gonna need to be concerned with, making sure your n value is correct. Because that one always starts at p sub 0. Okay, so we've got 10 times 2.7 to the 9th minus 1, and 2.7 minus 1 in the bottom, and I got 44,850.57. This one, my A value
That was partially right.
was 4,500. Would you mess up on the 9?
Yeah.
The R is 0.75, and your N is 23. So 4,500 times 0.75 raised to the 23rd minus 1 divided by 0.75 minus 1. And you get 17,975.92 when you round.
Okay, all done.
Wait, never mind. Wait,
Yeah, wait.
I have a question. No, wait, never mind. Wait.
You don't have a question.
Can you scroll up a little bit?
I've got people copying this.
Just a little- just a tad. All right. So 3 and 5 are the only two that had to have,
The n value go up.
yeah.
Because it starts at p sub 0 and goes to 11, which means there are technically 12 terms.
So how come for 5 it went to
Because it started from 0 and went to 8. So there's only 9 terms. This one went from 0 to 11. 1 to 11 is 11. Put in that 0, it gives you 12. Like, and, okay. So, we talked about this with arithmetic sequences too. So let's say I have P sub 1, P sub 2, P sub 3, and P sub 4. That's 4 terms, right? If I put in a P sub 0, that ups it by 1 to 5 terms. So here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8. And then when I put in the original term, that bumps me up to 9. All right, one more. Is there not a word problem at the bottom? Yeah,
Why didn't you bump it
Should've.
up with the 23?
Sorry, we don't have.
because it just tells you there's 23 terms.
Okay.
So when it comes out and tells you exactly how many terms, you don't need to bump it anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. All right. An imaginary infectious disease called the X virus has no known cure. The first appearance occurred in 2005 when a total of 5,000 cases were reported. The virus will spread at a 40% annual rate of growth. How many estimated cases will there be for the X virus over a 10-year period? So,
A is 5,000.
A is 5,000. We start with 5,000 cases.
Is R is
1.4.
1.4. It's 40% rate of growth. So again, it has to be 40% above 100, which is 140%, which is 1.4. And what's my N?
2005.
10.
Oh,
10-year period. Remember, 2005 to 2014 While it looks like it's only 9, 2005 actually counts as a year. That's your P sub 0, which is why it's 10. So 5,000 times 1.4 to the 10th minus 1 divided by 1.4 minus 1. You said what?
I'll make these work.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because you know your finals.
349,068.32.
Okay. By 2014, we're going to have 349,000 people with this virus that can't be cured.
What's up?
Who's that?
You know what's more sad? In 2000, the measles didn't exist anymore.
Okay. You have on Canvas a 10.3 worksheet that goes over this. I don't remember if you can do all of it or just some of it. Really don't remember. Let me figure it out.
I still